Good morning, Singapore. Good morning, world. Welcome to The Big Show and The Big Show TV. It is a Tuesday, so every Tuesday we welcome the one, the only, Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room. Good morning, Jerry.
Morning!
Good morning, Jerry. How are you?
I'm good, and it's lovely because it's rainy and it's dark, and whoever that's listening in, please snuggle in your bed and listen to us.
What's it called? A pluvophile, is it?
Yes.
Pluvophile. That's right. Lover of the rain. So, Jerry, you love the rain, but there are some people that may not love the rain. They may actually fear it. So that's your topic for today, right? Fear?
Fear.
Yes. Fear.
Fear
Today's
is the
topic
path
is fear.
to the dark side.
Why?
Fear is the
Why?
path to the dark. No,
That's
it's a
what Yoda
quote.
says.
It's a
Oh,
quote.
is it?
Yeah, it's a quote.
Okay.
Fear is the path to the dark side.
Is that like a Chinese proverb?
No,
It's Star Wars.
it's not even
Star
Star Wars.
Wars.
No.
It's Star Wars. That's what Yoda
It
says.
is an anonymous
I
quote.
think
Okay.
people fear. So that's why, they say welcome to the dark side. But fear is really one of the many, many, many emotions that we have. We just pick that one and start to hyper focus on it, and we start to fear about it. So yes, that's why we
So-
are talking about it. We
Yeah.
want to dispel the fear of fear.
Because many people are hyper focusing,
Yeah.
Especially now.
especially now.
So the more you think about it, the bigger it becomes, right? That fear?
And for some people, it can be paralyzing even
Yeah.
Yeah.
when you hyper focus on fear.
True.
Yep.
But
So-
I guess for the very fact that you can hyper focus on fear and it becomes paralyzing and it overcomes you and everything else, that means that you can do the exact opposite and hyper focus on something great, and that also will become a reality, right? Where thoughts become things. That's my belief, at least.
Sure, but maybe we don't hyper focus on anything. Too much of a good thing is also no good.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, then we become obsessed, right? So
Yeah,
no. I'm all for moderation. So everything in moderation. Yeah, but I guess Glenn was the one that brought it up last week about fear. Yeah, maybe we can hear your friend. You were discussing it with someone, or
No, because my pastor brought it up, right? And he focused on fear a couple of weeks back, right? And I thought to myself, that is something that perhaps maybe we don't talk about.
Okay.
Yeah.
Everyone has their fears,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And it's normal, right?
Yeah.
But when you hyper focus on fear and you feel paralyzed by fear all the time, then it's not funny anymore.
But paralyzed would go into the body, right? I mean, literally where you can't do anything, right?
Yes, it does. It does. Let's look at the psychology of fear first. I said there was an emotion, so it is an emotion. So it's supposed to be like our alarm bell. It's supposed to alert us to if something is going on. If something is going on in the environment, so then all our senses start to kick in. So I remember many years ago, I don't know why so many dramatic things happened to me. Yeah, but anyways, I was on the way to work, and in my early 20s, and I had this big bag with me. Okay, and I was walking under the HDB block, and I was the only one. So the officers were here. So it's one of those under the HDB blocks, and I was walking. And then I saw this guy. Instinctually, I held on to my bag. So it was a sling bag. I held on to my bag. And true enough, so we were walking face to face, yeah. True enough, he came close and he snatched my bag.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was so exciting. But
So exciting.
Exciting, yay.
if you ask me why I grabbed onto my bag, I didn't know. But at that point, something alerted me. Heart was pounding really, really fast. So all the physiological symptoms, yeah. And true enough, he grabbed it. The funniest thing was that he grabbed it. I refused to let go of my bag, and I dropped myself on the floor and got dragged.
Oh, no.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then I just silly me didn't know how to scream help because the brain had shut down. Only could hyper focus on one thing, on holding on to my bag with dear life. So I just screamed all the way, the highest pitch that I could find in my vocal cords.
Oh, wow. But on a scale of 1 to 10, how scared were you at that point?
Actually, when I saw him, that was the fear and the alertness.
Right. But while you were struggling with him.
I wasn't. He was just he was trying
just dragging
to run
you.
with my bag.
Okay.
He thought he could snatch and he could run.
Okay.
Yeah, I simply used the entire body weight, dropped myself on the floor, so he had to drag the bag and me, you see.
Did he
Yeah,
get
but
away
in
with the
my
bag?
Yeah.
Did he get away with the bag?
He didn't.
Oh, good.
He gave up. He gave
He
up.
let go because in my mind it was, you're not getting my bag and not taking my IC for the, I don't know, because we have to pay, right? If
Yeah.
we use my
Yeah.
IC.
Yeah.
So I was like, no way you're getting my IC and I have to pay money for it.
Useless, this guy. Inexperienced.
Whoa.
Anyway, here's Tears of Fears with Everybody Wants to Rule the World on The Big Show, 1FM 91.3.
But Jerry, that whole thing of you dropping to the ground and not being able to speak is
Yes.
the paralysis we talk about.
Yeah, in a way,
Yeah.
the brain shut down. So it then channeled all the energy into something, because when fear occurs, the whole brain is releasing a lot of chemicals, your adrenaline, your cortisol, whatever it is, all the stress, chemicals. And it activates certain parts of the brain. So clearly mine was protection. So I wanted to protect something and didn't think about any other things. So my language, my verbal capacity was paralyzed, was limited. Yeah.
There are always situations where, we watch on TV or we hear a story like this from you, and then we tell ourselves, oh, if this were to happen to me, I'm going to kick this guy, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to practice my certain martial arts. But then when that thing actually happens, we can't actually perform these acts that we've played in our head. Is there a way to psychologically switch and do something before something like that happens, and then actually do what we want to do?
Okay, so when the brain goes over all this and you're talking about it, right? It's more when you're practicing in your head, you're preparing yourself. So when it really occurs, you've kind of practiced it in your head. Now, whether you are able to calm yourself down to that point to carry it out is a total different ballgame altogether. That's why we need to, talk about fear to calm ourselves down.
So calm down first, and then it comes back, right?
Yeah, but easier said than
Yeah,
done,
easier
right?
said
Calm
than
down.
done.
Yeah.
Probably like people say, okay, you've got to take deep breaths.
You can't,
or,
right?
Or, breathe into
No.
a paper bag
Oh,
or
there's not
something.
enough time
There's
as well,
anxiety,
because
yeah.
things happen so
Yeah.
quickly,
Yeah,
right?
because fear
Not
will
enough
lead
time.
to perhaps maybe a panic attack.
Yeah.
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 Maybe what? Sorry, I didn't catch that.
Fear may lead to someone having a panic attack.
Interestingly, fear is not supposed to cause that. So it's the disorder that causes it. Yeah. So you realize that even if you're very scared, okay, it might not reach paralysis yet. Yeah. You would still be able to do something. It's just do what? You would not, yes, there's freeze, there's flight, there's fight. We did talk about it. But most of us don't freeze. We would still do something. We might run the other direction, but we might not be able to face whatever it is head on, the situation head on.
Okay.
Can that fear lead to a form of, maybe it's the wrong word, paranoia? So you saw this particular type of man walking towards you, and something triggered you, and you defended your property, so to speak. Can that lead to every time you see
see a
a
man.
certain sort of person, you go into that same defensive,
It's traumatic, right?
because of the trauma you felt?
So the body remembers, right? But it might not reach paranoia. So that's why I think Glenn was wanting to talk about this, because it might not reach all the disorders that we keep talking about. You might be traumatized by it and therefore have all this paranoia. But by and large, our brains are very resilient. So what it does is it starts to calibrate. And for me, after that, the colleagues ran out. They were like, hey, what's this sound? They came out and they were so chill about it. And they realized, oh, Jerry's in trouble. I said, the fella run away already lah. Yeah. But what they did was really sweet. They activated the police. The CID came down. The police were really nice, and he was like saying, you should have just let the bag go. What if you had a knife? You were very silly to do that. And I was like, not helping. I'm
Yeah. But that's instinct, right? Instinct is to protect your property.
Yes.
Right?
So different people, different, right? Some people will say, you know what, take it, go, it's fine, I just behaved differently, and I suppose another person might behave differently, but the CID officer was just doing what he needed to do and say, next time, girl, please release your bag. And I was like, okay. But he was nice. He said, okay, let's walk around the vicinity to see if he's around, if you're comfortable. So he accompanied me just to walk around, and I was like, I don't think we can find him. He said, doesn't matter, let's just walk around. And I think that was very important, because if he didn't kind of like hold my hand to walk around, I might have been fearful, walking all those
to go back
paths again. Yeah. So that was very useful. Again, I always speak of not human resources, social resources. Yeah.
I think you got over it so nicely because you're a psychologist. That's why you treated yourself. You just looked at yourself in the mirror and you treated yourself.
No, it was really a lot of, the care and love from everyone. And of course, they were like, oh, next time, can you please not go, can you scream, help? The colleagues.
Well, easier said than done, right? Everybody wants to scream help, right? But again, you can't, you may not be able to when you're in that situation.
Yep. True.
Yeah, the first thing that comes out of your mouth is, oi.
What are you doing? What's
happening?
Yeah.
It's thinking versus training, right?
It was just,
Yeah.
Dr. Jerry,
the
it's
really
thinking.
loud ones.
It's also thinking versus training, right? Because you can think a certain thing, like you can think that, okay, I'm gonna stop this guy, I'm gonna shout something else. But if you don't train your body to like go through it and actually say it out loud, then when it happens, you malfunction also.
True. But that is very sudden. That is, very random. But there are other times where you see students, adults, facing their work, facing their studies, and they fear, a project. They are fearful of some parts of the studies or the project, and it manifests physiologically. So sometimes it comes out in a very, very strange way. So it just plays on their mind. So we hear the words plays on their mind, right?
Okay, you're going back on it. Hold on, it's going to get very dark very soon. Show 1FM 91.3, it's a Tuesday, and so that's why we have Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room. We're talking about fear this morning. And one of the main reasons why we've brought up fear today is because of me. I've been thinking about this, right? Especially during this time right now. There are many people who are not fearing so much for themselves, but they're fearing for their family,
for
their friends. Because of the reports of what COVID can do to people who may not be vaccinated at this point in time. So what advice do you have for people who are so worried every day they're worried for their friends, they're worried for their family. We hear the news, we hear doctors advising people to get vaccinated. In the States, 99.5% of people who are dying there are the unvaccinated people. And while they're all struggling to breathe, doctors are saying that it seems like they're asking, please help me and all that, but it's too late at that point. Right? They're almost like regretting not getting, vaccinated. And we all have friends and we all have family members who are not getting vaccinated. And people are getting stressed and worried for them. What words do you have for people like that?
I think first of all, the whole climate, right? We are really hyper focusing on this pandemic, which we should. But there's a lot of talk, a lot of reports about it. Everywhere you go, you're just being hit by it. So the obsession becomes an external obsession. And if you couple that with the internal obsession and you keep thinking about it, you will start to pick on things. So sometimes the brain does funny things. It picks on certain aspect of it. So it doesn't pick on everything else. The reports do show, wonderful news about people recovering, but do we focus on that? We don't. We happily just pick a tiny portion and say, people are dying, people are dying. And that's when the brain starts to panic because it starts fantasizing about things that are not there. Fear feeds on uncertainty. So the more uncertainty there is, or the more uncertainty you give yourself, okay, that's when the brain goes into an overdrive. And we want you to then bring yourself back to the present space and ask yourself, what is actually happening? What can I do now for me? What can my loved ones do at this point in time? So bringing yourself back to the present rather than fantasizing. And in order to keep a fantasy alive, you need to draw more association, and those have no evidence. So you might take something with evidence, you started with that, you grow that, but in order to keep that alive, you pull more things in.
But it's so tough for someone, for example, okay, someone who might have just one parent at the moment, right? And that parent just refuses to get vaccinated, right? As a child who has already lost one parent and who has experienced that really bad traumatic experience, you can't help but feel like you want to protect this other parent. But if this parent is still adamant, about not wanting to get vaccinated, you can't blame the child for being all stressed out and afraid, you see. And for that child to start hyper focusing on what could happen, should this parent get infected by COVID, right? So I think it's a very real issue, and there are many families in Singapore who are going through that because no one wants to force anyone to get the vaccination because of what could happen. You never know, right? 10 people might not come down with side effects. Maybe this one person might, So it's a very tough situation, you see.
It is very, very difficult. So you realize that it is strongly encouraged for everyone to take it, but they do not mandate it.
Yes.
Right? So it's very important for us to understand why they're doing this, because there are people who have different fears. So for us who have the fear of getting COVID, do we understand the fear of the others who do not want to get the vaccine because they have a million and one thoughts that are going through their head, right? They say, I'm fine now. I'm at the tail end of my life. So for the seniors, if I get the vaccine, am I bringing forward? So this is something that, am I bringing forward my death? Because we don't know how my body will react to it. So this, it is really their thoughts. It might be their own anxiety, might not be rational, but you try rationalizing with them, you try pushing them, it's not going to help because they need to come around it themselves with, their own evidence, with hearing more, gaining more confidence, and not by us forcing it down their throat.
It's almost like people have got to just let go. Even though they care so much, they have to, for their own sanity, they have to just let go.
Because Dr. Jerry is right. I mean, as much as the child fears the death of the last parent, the parent also fears if they got this vaccine, they might go before.
And that's what makes it so complicated.
The child behind as well,
right? And that's what makes it so complicated.
It
is.
Because
for people who have lost like one parent, it's a totally different ball game altogether.
Yeah.
I mean, if your parents are still around, hey, everything is great.
Not necessarily. Losing. Even if you have both parents around, people will still have that fear.
No, but what I mean is that experience. You see, once you experience losing a parent
or a child,
or a child, then it's a different kind of consideration, a different kind of.
You don't want to put yourself through that again.
It is. We're speaking to Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room. Up next, Dr. Alban. It's my life. Oh, sometimes I feel like it's easier just to be hard-hearted, just to okay, fine, do whatever you want. I don't care.
Okay,
to hell with you.
No, you don't need. You don't need to say the I don't care what you do. To hell with you. Basically, I feel what you need to do is not ram it down their throat. But it's like every opportunity you have, trigger a suggestion. And keep triggering the suggestion.
Yeah, but that will irritate the hell out of the person. No. You see, it's easy for people to say, right? People who have their entire family already vaccinated. Okay? But just imagine if you have one or two people in your family
who are not.
Who are living with you.
And refuse.
And then you have these arguments with them because every time you say what you just, mentioned, right? It sparks an argument. There are a lot of people arguing over this, right now.
Absolutely.
What I've seen people do, and tell me if this is right or wrong, Jerry, is they have elderly who don't want to get vaccinated. What I mean by trigger a suggestion is you're not saying, hey, have you thought about it? No. You're triggering suggestions through conversation. Did you hear about the new research about how people who are not vaccinated are
it will
doesn't work.
Trust me,
doesn't work
it will irritate.
Because they're not stupid.
Yeah,
they know when there's an insinuation coming in.
And we're not just talking about the old people. We're talking about the younger ones as well here.
So I have a question, Dr. Jerry. Sorry to cut this conversation off, but like Glenn's scenario of this child that has only one parent left. Right, and not wanting to lose a second parent because they've already lost that first parent and they know what it feels like.
It was so painful.
Is that a selfish mindset from the child saying, I've already gone through that. I don't want to have to put myself through that emotion again. I mean, I'm just wondering. And for whoever, it's just a.
I don't think it's selfish. I think we love in different ways. We want to keep our loved ones as close to us as possible, physically close to us as long as possible. And losing is sometimes, in this case, they feel it's not an option, and definitely it's not an option, right? Yeah.
But is it about also not respecting the person's choice?
When you face loss or the potential threat of loss, sometimes rationality goes out the window. So you might not think about it.
Jerry, there was a very interesting comment in yesterday's newspaper. An 83-year-old was interviewed and asked why he didn't take the vaccination. He said, I have diabetes, I have hypertension, I'm dying anyway, what's the point?
Okay,
a lot of people feel that way,
It is true. It is true, and that's why, they don't want to bring forward. So that brings me to one of the statements that many of them say. Why should I bring it forward? Or why should I? So one thought is, why should I bring it forward? Or why should I prolong my pain? So living on earth is suffering. If I get COVID, I get COVID. If I get something, I get something. Just take me already. Yeah. So there are different schools of thoughts and different people. That would not be a fear. That we wouldn't classify as a fear. Yeah.
See, this person is just saying that, like what you mentioned, right? Yeah, I've got this, I've got that, I'm dying. And then you're on the bed, infected with COVID-19, struggling to breathe. And then, I don't know whether that's going to, hold true. And that person is still going to be going like, yeah, okay, I'm going already. It's that suffering that loved ones don't want to see happen. And the only thing that stands between that and going or surviving is that one, 2 vaccinations.
I've got to be honest. When I see elderly people who don't want to get vaccinated, personally, I have to fight a thought. And the thought I always have to fight with these people is, you're being damn selfish.
Is that selfish though? That's because
to them, I'm almost at the end of my life. I don't want to shorten it. I just want to live. But you're older, you can contract it, you can be asymptomatic, and you can spread it to hundreds of people. You're not thinking about that. You're only thinking about yourself. And I mean, honestly, I'm being honest on national radio. That's how I feel.
Sure. But I also, because I have the privilege to listen to different people's versions, right? So like yesterday, it wasn't an older person, but it was late 30s, a guy in his late 30s. And he came in and we were discussing about something else, but then I had to deal with his fear of vaccination. But his fear wasn't about vaccination. His fear was about the injection. It was about that needle.
Fear of needles.
And he said that he's deathly afraid of it to the point that he would pass out. Now, this is a big guy, yeah? And he says that, I would try ways and means to get out of it. But, this time he recognizes that it is essential. So that's why he came, he sat with me, and we spent an almost entire session talking and processing his fear so that he can get the vaccination today. I'm thinking, it is in the afternoon, so I wish him all the best. Whoever that do the vaccine for him be gentle and kind.
Good for him, though. Good for him.
But I mean, and he recognized what his fear was.
Yes.
Which was a great thing, right?
Yeah.
Good for him. Okay.
Yeah. And I think being the people psychologist, right? So I want to ride with everyone. I think when I was asking Glenn what his angle was, and Glenn was telling me
not anger, angle.
Angle.
Just in case, you guys think, what?
No, you didn't sit on my couch. Yeah. And he was telling me about this, fear about the family members and about the vaccination, and he put it all that in one pot, right? And I was actually at the ER, A&E rather, with my father, who just got the vaccine on last Friday. Now he had a reaction to it, and it affected his kidney. Because he has kidney issues already. So I think the body is fighting it, and it affected all the numbers, and he was feeling very uncomfortable. Now, of course, fear within the family just spiked and skyrocketed. And it was not an easy sensation to deal with. Of course, again, I was talking about the emotion, all the stress hormones, stress chemicals were being pumped. And I think when mom called and said, okay, I think cannot, we have to send him to the hospital. I said, no, I don't think any of us should drive him. Let's call the ambulance. And it was brilliant. Within less than 5 minutes, they were at the door.
Okay, hold on, Jerry. We're going for a traffic break.
FD standby.
Good morning, Singapore. You're tuned into The Big Show with Glenn, Angel, FD, and Shaun. And we have Dr. Geraldine Tan from the therapy room with us. We were just talking about the weekend for Jerry and
Yes.
how your dad was...
Fear. When you
Yeah.
when you comforted me, so it was again, I talk about social resource. So unwittingly, you just became a social resource for myself, where you just echoed that whole fear that I was having. I mean, I had to swallow my fear. Can you imagine if anyone, touch wood, hopefully no one has the opportunity to ride an ambulance, but it was quite an experience because and thank you for the Singapore SCDF, who were super gentle with dad and mom, and are just very patient with them. So we were whisked away in the ambulance, and I had the privilege of sitting up front so you can see the lights flashing and everything, and people just giving way to the ambulance, and we got to the hospital in record time. So it was amazing. Yeah, so these actions that people take really comfort in times of fear.
Apart from your exciting ambulance ride,
Which I think we need to tell everyone on the radio, though, because we were talking about that on the Big Show TV
that's
earlier
correct.
on.
Yeah, is your dad okay though?
Yeah.
He is still in the hospital.
Oh.
We are still waiting for his blood pressure to come down
Okay.
and for his readings to kind of stabilize.
So he had his first or second shot on Friday?
Second shot.
Okay.
Second shot.
Yeah,
And
yeah. So
and how long
I-
after did he realize he was experiencing these side effects?
Less than 24 hours.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, less than 24 hours.
And is he stable? I mean, is he getting better? Is he going to get out soon?
He is mobile. He is
Okay.
not. He's not. Flat out on the bed or anything like that. But the fear, I suppose, what I was reading, when we were talking and discussing about fear, was that it was their fear, of course. Glenn was saying the fear of like losing a parent. Of course, the fear was there. And then, I'm just wondering what goes through Dad's thought process, because it took a long time for him to decide to take the vaccine. Yeah, because of his renal condition. So he actually thought for a really long time. And I can't imagine what is going through his mind now that he's taken, and then he has the side effects, and it has an impact on the kidney.
On what he thought it would, right?
Yeah. So at this point, we are still in that fear. But if we ask what really helped, is all that comfort that people are giving. Dad is a very rational man. He's a mathematician, so he goes, this plus this equals this, right? So everything has its rhythm. So you just breathe, you meditate, and he will always, because I'm the kanchang one, right? I'm the right? So Dad would always say, you have your headaches, can you do your breathing? Can you do your meditation? I go like, Mom does her prayers, so Mom's Catholic and Mom does her prayers. She's got all the prayer warriors. Thank you very much to those that are praying for him. So that spiritual aspect is also very useful, because if we want to fight with uncertainty, sometimes rational thinking might not be the best way forward.
Yeah. Well, we're praying for your dad too.
Absolutely.
We are. Speedy
Thank
recovery.
you.
Yeah.
I'm sure he is a fighter. He is a warrior himself, and he's one of the most resilient person that I know. He's taking it much better than many of us.
As is usually the case, right? Oh, we wish him all the best.
Thank you.
And if you need
Hi,
someone to-
Julian, I see you.
Hi, Julian.
Morning, guys.
Jerry,
Morning.
if you need someone to talk to,
Glenn's
my
always
couch
available.
is free.
We have the gym bench right behind me, so
That's
there
the
you go.
bench. That's not a couch.
We can only
Mine
afford a
is
bench.
couch.
All right.
Any last words, Jerry?
Well, coincidentally, this evening is the opening night of Festival of Women NOW, and NOW stands for Not Ordinary Work. It celebrates the women, so it features works of women, creative change makers and thought leaders whose work illuminate and amplify the less seen or heard narratives. So this is actually written by Nolina. She is the brain, behind Festival of Women Now, and we are having the live stream, the opening night at 7 p.m. tonight. It's going to be on Facebook, and it's going to be live streamed.
As in the Therapy Room's Facebook page. Is that
No, it's not.
Festival of Women.
Okay.
What's the festival Facebook page?
Okay, and no, it's on T Works. So
T-Works,
you can
okay.
find the details at notordinarywork.com.
Okay. All
All
right.
details can be found there, and there's a lineup of amazing women. And it would be from now. It's a three week digital event.
Okay,
With
fantastic.
a lot of different performances. Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds great.
The last thing that I want to say, so Marie Curie is one of the scientists that I really look up to, and she's an amazing mother besides being a scientist. And she says, nothing in life is to be feared, or it is only to be understood. Now is the time to understand more so that we may fear less.
Oh,
That's
nice.
nice.
That's
Yeah,
beautiful.
Nice.
Very
Excellent.
nice. Very nice.
Thank you, Marie Curie.
Jerry, what do you think? All lady drivers are bad drivers.
Are we going
Lady
there
drivers
today?
are worse drivers than male drivers.
If you're not watching the Big Show
I
TV, she
think
is shaking
they all
her
have
head.
different strengths, So the
Okay.
female driver have different strengths, but I've seen more aggressive male drivers. So we can banter on the female
Yeah.
and the male, right? But why? How come nobody ever talked about the aggressive male drivers?
That is
I don't
true.
think that
All the
female
time we talk about them all.
Aggressive might not.
Julian, right or not?
Aggressive
I
might not
have
be
to agree
bad.
with you, Jerry. I have to agree with you.
Women
there
are more
aggressive
patient.
drivers
Yeah,
out there.
women are more patient, and hence you think we're slow.
Okay, stay tuned. All right, Jerry, keep on watching because we'll be discussing this with Julian, for the next 20 minutes or so.
This is going to be interesting.
Right? Male drivers versus
Stand on the
female
women's
drivers.
side. If not, your wife will kill you.
I'm neutral, man. I'm just going to be as neutral as I can.
Okay, thanks for joining us, Jerry. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
All right, the Stone Temple Pilots.